Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Interface, a podcast about technology and things, with me, James Farley, and my good friend Matt Murray. Hello, Matt.
Hello there. Hey.
So, first of all, I'd like to just say thank you for all the feedback from episode 1. This has been a lot of fun to put together, but obviously there are some gremlins and problems, but it's been good. So, today we're going to be talking primarily about builds, the HP Spectre, and Matt's experience with the HTC Vive.
Absolutely.
But first of all, we should probably make a few corrections. So, Matt, what would you like to correct?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes in episode 1. So I apologise for that. I mean, I probably haven't captured all of these, but there were definitely a few. So I wrongly said that Apple Watch was announced in March 2015, but as everyone knows, it was actually announced and unveiled the September prior to that at the iPhone 6 unveiling. So that was a bit of a balls up. I think one of us said that the iPad Pro had 4 gig of RAM, but it definitely does have just 2 gig.
Yeah, that was me, I think, yeah.
I mean, there are many, many other mistakes, and this is actually piss poor follow-up because we're not even correcting all the mistakes, but I just want to say to the people listening that mistakes were made, and we will endeavour to fix them whenever we can.
Yes, we will try to do that.
Yeah. Can't think of any more follow-up than that, really. But I guess I just want to follow on from what James said. Thanks for the feedback we've got from episode 1, and that's it, really.
Okay, so here we go. So I think, first of all, we can talk about build, because that's been probably the biggest thing of the last week, I think. I mean, so what sort of interested you that came out of build, Matt?
Very, very little. I mean, Microsoft Build. I mean, let's be honest. This is basically essentially, Microsoft's version of Google I/O. It's their version of WWDC, but it doesn't really get anywhere near like the level of coverage and excitement that the Dem 2 it seems to do. This build, it was interesting because they're still very much in a transitional phase. At least it seems to me that they are. Especially with, say, like the Xbox and like Windows platform, that they're basically still trying to create this one platform that works for all their devices and whatnot. So I feel to me they're still in quite a transitional phase. We'll probably go through the points in a minute, but yeah, it wasn't terribly exciting. But there's still some interesting aspects to what they announced.
Why do you think that people are not so interested in this though? Like, why? I mean, Google I/O and WWDC get all the the coverage, but why is build doesn't matter?
I mean, build, unlike the other two, are very much just for developers, whereas WWDC, it's Apple announcing the new version of iOS. They've also debuted hardware there, in the past, and it just feels a much more consumer facing. Obviously last year's WWDC, that was like a 3 or 4 hour mammoth, presentation. And they went quite hardcore into Swift, into their Swift programming technology. So it's not totally consumer friendly, but it is much more than others. And build doesn't really seem to get that sort of level of exposure, obviously because iOS is a much more prominent platform than Microsoft's generally. And in Google I/O, that's another conference where Google also announces hardware. But yeah, I don't know, Microsoft. I mean, also if you think about it, Microsoft's platforms aren't doing amazingly well. If you look at all of them.
In what way? I mean,
comparatively so.
Okay, so yeah, Windows isn't doing too badly still. I mean, the install base has been pretty huge for Windows 10 still.
I'll give it that.
But Xbox One hasn't done quite as well as they probably would have hoped. I mean, one of the things that I did find interesting from it though was they talked about like the whole bot like sort of angle and also enhancements to Cortana. But see, my feeling about this is do digital assistants really matter? I mean, I always find myself sort of struggling to care, about them. I mean, is that just because stuff like Siri and Connect really hasn't been... I mean, I know Connect is not a digital assistant, but it's still like voice activated, do things for you kind of thing. None of that's really
a major difference there. I mean, like voice activated features, I think are great, and I know you laugh every time I say I do it, but I do use Kinect's voice stuff every time I use my Xbox. I love it. It's great when you're watching Netflix. We can say Xbox, go to Netflix and you can pause and play, and we use that all the time. That's fantastic.
See, I agree with you on that because I do the same myself, but it doesn't work that well. Like it's still not sort of foolproof. Like, I mean, every time that I switch my Xbox on, I usually have to say it at least 3 times before it happens. But then maybe that is just because I need to recalibrate it again. Or, I mean, the other thing I wondered about this is, does it learn from your own voice, or is it just, how does it work? Do you know?
I'm not sure exactly, but I do know there is an app, or at least there was an app called, I'm not sure what it's called, but it was basically an app in the Microsoft Marketplace for Xbox where it was basically a game, there was achievements, but it was basically learning your voice patterns. You could say lots of things to this game. And it is a game, there was like a score and whatnot to beat, but ultimately it was taking your voice and learning and hopefully treating the way your voice is handled by the Xbox a bit better. It was meant to be learning your voice and your speech patterns. But I mean, for me, it's been fine. It's not foolproof, but it's okay. And but then, I mean, obviously we're talking about voice control, but then like bots are a very, very different thing.
It's
but if I think about Siri, I know we're meant to talk about Microsoft's build, but let's just talk about Siri for a minute. I mean, Siri is I don't think it's great. I talk to Siri to set timers for food and set alarms for waking up and stuff, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I do consistently. I don't do the whole dictating text messages when I'm driving. I don't send messages using voice if I'm in the car again, or like set calendar appointments. Or do notes, create notes. I just don't do any of that. It's just easier to type that typically. So the only thing I do is use it for timers for food.
That's really pretty much the same as me. I mean, I've tried using it, especially with the watch. I try using it, like to answer messages and stuff. I mean, for one thing, I feel stupid doing it because my wife always just laughs at me, like if I'm ever standing there saying, "I will be there very soon, Matt." Full stop, like that, and then she's just like laughs at me for doing that, which is kind of bad.
I mean, the biggest trouble with that, and I don't know how they could ever fix it, but the trouble with dictating messages is you can't talk naturally to it. You have to go, I'll be there soon, James. Full stop.
Yeah.
Yes. See you later. Full stop. And whereas obviously, in the future, you'll just be talking like this, and it will know, when to put a full stop in.
It's really just not natural enough yet for it to really kind of work properly or to make it.
I certainly use that a lot in the early days of having the watch. It was fun to do, and but in Siri on the watch is slow as hell. But again, we've definitely been over that, and we'll definitely go over that again. That Siri on that Apple Watch is rubbish. But in terms of digital and personal assistants, I mean, these are everywhere. I mean, there's like M in Facebook Messenger. Mm-hmm. And Facebook Messenger, I think Facebook announced today is going to be loads of bots added to Messenger. You'll be able to order all sorts of things within it. They're basically creating it's WeChat, isn't it? The Chinese version of WhatsApp, and you can do everything within the app, right?
Yeah, you can do. WeChat is very impressive, like as an app. I mean, I hate using it, to be honest with you, because also security backdoors, etc. But it does. You can do everything from that app, like order. I mean, it's like like. Order taxis, order food, do shopping. You can do everything from it, and I mean, they also
definitely feel that's what everyone's doing. I mean, so M is in Messenger. We've also got Siri. Cortana is on Xbox or whatnot. So these assistants are everywhere. But really, the one that I want that everyone says is brilliant is Alexa on Amazon Echo. Mm-hmm. That's the one I want because again, I don't have to use Siri. I can just literally, I don't have to hold down a button, or whatever on my phone. Although now, obviously, if it's you can just say "Hey Siri," but whatever. I want to just basically shout into Alexa and say "Set a timer for 15 minutes" because I'm cooking again. Mm-hmm. That's one I haven't tried.
So I know Cortana's definitely getting smarter, which is a good thing, especially with the idea that it can talk with other services and, make bookings for you and things like that. That is interesting. That's kind of an interesting development.
Yeah, it'd be great if it works. I mean, but I'm not sure. It's coming to Xbox, which is good, but am I really going to, is it really going to help within Xbox? I mean, I thought this was on Xbox ages ago. I can't, they announced as E3. For some reason, I just thought it had already come into Xbox One, and I just haven't noticed it.
Yeah, because I thought it was the whole sort of you can Bing things and all that kind of stuff, but then I thought it was supposed to use that already, but obviously not. It's I know, but I know I do use voice controls. Just they don't always work so well, as I just said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly interested, and this is obviously the way of the future.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it hasn't really grabbed me as much as I hoped it would have done. But who knows? I mean, but all these improvements that the Microsoft are making, adding Cortana to Xbox, so on and so forth. It's obviously it's a good move on Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're actually doing way more on Cortana than Apple are doing with Siri.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, I'm hoping the rumours that I've heard so far is that at WWDC is we're going to see like Siri on Mac, so that would be quite interesting.
Okay,
because I could see myself in a way. I could see myself using it more likely on Mac than I do on my phone, actually, because maybe I'd use it for like making notes and stuff like that, but. I don't know, I guess we'll see.
Can you give me an example of when you would use Siri on Mac and what you would do?
Well, primarily, because you see, I do use the reminders app, like, for my work, for, like, pretty much everything. And, if I could just set reminders just by saying, set a reminder to do whatever, just, without having to get my phone out, that would be quite useful without having to type. But the only problem with this, and it's the same problem with Siri on the phone, is that you can have like different lists and everything. Yeah. With Siri, it can only like sort of set new events to the default list. And this is not really any good for me because I've got different lists to filter information in different ways. And it doesn't take account of that.
Well, maybe Siri 2.0 at WWDC, it could all change. I think it needs to do something because Siri's got obviously so much potential. It does so much good stuff, but also it just feels like it hasn't really moved on a great deal. But
yeah, so was that. I mean, the only other thing that I thought was really interesting was the universal apps is a good thing. The fact that we're hopefully this is going to lead to more apps on Xbox One. If more stuff can be ported. Especially, I mean, did you see that thing about the desktop converter app?
Is this one where it converts basically iOS apps into Windows compatible ones?
This was actually for Windows 32 based games that could then they can be converted to universal apps, which can then be used on presumably on Windows or Xbox. I mean, this could mean a ton of games being re-released, which would be quite interesting. To have.
And if they could package those up, so those would also just go like and work on Xbox. Yeah, it could be fantastic.
Yeah, it's some of these things are pretty good. I mean,
sorry to interrupt, but yeah, the idea of apps on Xbox. I mean, that still isn't. Again, it's not something that I don't think works.
Well, it doesn't because there aren't hardly any that are actually very good. Is one of the problems. I mean, there's not even. I mean, even basic ones that already exist on Xbox 360 don't exist on Xbox One. Like, I mean, just things like Daily Motion, for example, it's not
and like
there.
Twitter and Facebook and stuff. I mean, I did order Domino's from my Xbox once.
Oh yeah.
Just to see what it was like. It was actually way worse than the mobile experience. I thought, I've got like Connect, I can order it, use my voice, and I couldn't. It was just like a blown up, phone app. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you do. That's the kind of thing I do in front of my wife, and then again she'll be laughing a lot. I just say, why don't you just pick up your phone? You don't have
because I've got to Connect. I want to try it. Yeah, I also, I mean, they can do so much more, with that. But hopefully they will. Hopefully these universal apps will do that. It'll make apps actually a viable option for Xbox, and the fact it can work on all platforms is a great thing. Yeah,
so I mean they were really the only things that I really took from Build that I really found very, very interesting. I mean, apart from Windows Phone, and where was it? I mean, is it properly dead now?
It absolutely is. We'll get to that in a second, I guess. But also, HoloLens. I mean, should we have a quick word about HoloLens? The fact it's now shipping to developers. Yeah, it's like $3,500, isn't it, or $3,000? It's not like your $500 Oculus dev kit. This is only for like really serious devs, which is a bit of a shame.
But on the other hand, I mean, you've seen. I mean, did you see that preview video that was the one with the guy with his daughter?
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I mean, that was very impressive, and that's where I think the AR aspect is probably for business. Probably, could be a bigger deal than VR.
We should probably get a bit more detail. So that there's this video. It was released by Microsoft, sort of,
Internal Studio,
yeah. And basically, it's called holoportation, is what they call it. And in this demo, a guy was wearing a HoloLens, the Microsoft's AR sort of headset, and his daughter in another room was also wearing the headset, or sorry, in another room, or also, another country or whatever. And basically, she was essentially transported into his vision, that he could see her through his own HoloLens, goggles, as if she was right in the room. And have you got much more information about that? I mean, it looks stunning. I'll put a link to the video in the show notes. But essentially, it looked like the future of Skype. The fact that you can wear your HoloLens and your partner or whoever, someone else is wearing them elsewhere, and you both see each other in the same space is it looks amazing.
It really did look incredible, especially. I mean, when I saw this, I just think of family that I've got overseas, and you're just thinking they could be here in the room with you. And I mean, especially as eventually with the HoloLens, they're going to get it like down, to glasses size rather than like massive headset. That would be really impressive. I mean, it looked, and this is why I feel for business, maybe this is a bigger deal, because, if you can have meetings or whatever, and you really don't need people to travel, if you can do this, because they can actually be there. And, I think compared with VR, this is much, the HoloLens is a better idea, because I think it's far less isolating, in the sense of, you're still there, if you see what I mean. Yeah, so the Windows Phone, what do you think?
Well, it's dead, isn't it? It has to be dead. It was dead like 2 years ago, but it's definitely dead now. It was notably absent from build. I mean, that they mentioned universal apps and it could go on all devices. Like, there was no flagship Windows Phone unveiled. There was just it was just nothing mentioned at all.
Yeah, I mean, they were asked about it as well. And I think they just said, we're not talking about that this year, which that's not so good.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I mean, have you had an experience with Windows Phone at all?
I played around one. Like, Fred had one for a bit, and I played around, and it just looked awful. But I do want to give one a go. But maybe by the time I actually try that, it'll be gone and it'll be renamed again. But yeah, it's just. It never looked attractive to me as a phone OS. It looks so restrictive, and I'm they never really got the developers on board. They never really got the key apps like Snapchat, and I'm not sure if Instagram. I think Instagram did get there in the end, but it's been a bit of a disaster, hasn't it? Because at one point it was like Windows Phone 7. Then it was just Windows Phone. Obviously, prior to that, it was Windows Mobile. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they renamed it again, in a year or two, when they clearly rethink and reboot the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for it in a way, to be honest, because I mean, I've used one. I haven't owned one, but I've used one. Like, my parents had one, like a while ago, and I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, the app support isn't really there, but it seemed like really not too bad. I mean, is there anything they can do, do you think, at this stage, or are they just going to leave it now?
I mean, I financially, I'm not sure. I mean, basically, it's going to be really hard to be anything but a third place runner, because you're not going to beat iOS and Android. You're just not. So all you can do is be third place. I mean, right now, BlackBerry isn't a third place either. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, a third place is for anyone's for the taking. But yeah, I don't know what I can do, really. I mean, in some ways, it just feels like it's not hard. Just put out a solid OS and just keep courting developers to get them to build like Snapchat and the new apps for your platform. I mean, the things they're doing with universal apps should, in theory, make development of new apps a lot easier. So theoretically, if they were to maybe start again and do a new Windows Phone 8 or 9 or whatever they want to call it, hopefully development of apps won't be too much of a heartache for developers. But ultimately, for startups and stuff, if they build an app, they're going for iOS first. They start on iOS and then they see how popular that is and how much manpower and time and money they've got, and then they'll get out to Android and whatnot, but there's never really been a set incentive to get out to Windows Phone.
Yeah, I mean, I think the initial hope was that, especially because with Windows 98, shows how old I am. This would be Windows 8. They were trying to go with this idea of like universal apps from that point, and that this would then create the ability for there to be lots of apps for Windows Phone sort of automatically. But it just didn't happen, did it? I mean, it just the universal apps, it just wasn't there at that point.
But I mean, universal apps isn't enough to save a Windows Phone. I mean, I would love to know the most recent sales figures. I mean, I haven't seen anything about how much they've sold, but
it's certainly in the sort of very low single-digit percentage. What they're doing.
I mean, so someone must have done the sums to say, even if we are third place and we get 0.5% of this, it's still worth a big part of the market. But I don't know who would go to Windows Phone other than people who just don't care about mobiles. Maybe really old people, maybe people just don't want to spend money. On mobiles, but then
Android phones Android for like ridiculous. That. Yeah, it's like ridiculously cheap.
iOS has it's typically it's grabbed the high value expensive device market. Android's got that with Samsung phones, and it's also got that with the low range phones. So what are Microsoft going to do? I'm not sure they can compete on any area.
Are Microsoft still making money out of Android though? Because like before they were making money out of every out of licensing agreements.
That's a good point. I'm not sure. Oh, I've just had one thought. I mean, this is something that Peel said they wanted a while ago. The Peel said they wanted like a Windows Surface phone, didn't they? Mm-hmm. After the Surface tablet and whatnot. And I could see them announcing a Surface phone, but I don't know. I mean, it's not an attractive proposition to me.
No,
and I'm not like anti-Windows, but if they were to, I think they need to redo the OS. It's not an attractive OS at all. But who knows? It's clearly, if they're not talking about it this year, as they mentioned at Build, they're clearly going back to the drawing board, which I think they need to.
Okay, so at least for this year, Windows Phone, it does appear to be dead.
I mean, you say this year, I mean the last 5 years, but yeah
dead.
This year definitely dead.
So also, I mean, the other thing that we were looking at this week was the HP Spectre.
Yes.
It's the HP Spectre 13, I think this was. So this is the new notebook from HP that's supposedly been more, better designed than an Apple product, was kind of what they're sort of hinting at all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
I mean, specs-wise, it's got it. Looks-wise, I think it looks like a total joke. It looks awful, but specs-wise, it's got it. It's only 10.4mm thick, and the MacBook is 13.2mm thick. So it's and the MacBook is not a fatty. It's pretty lightweight. So I'm really excited to see what the Spectre 13 looks like actually in the flesh. It's super thin. It's only like 1.1 kilogram. It's got USB Type C ports, just like the MacBook. So specs wise, it's nailing it.
But you see, I mean, you said that it doesn't look good, but it's kind of gold, isn't it?
It's basically. Are you doing other colours?
I don't know, but I thought you'd be into the gold.
I had a gold iPhone once. I'm not ashamed of that. I thought it's great phone. It looks brilliant with the brown leather case, and I'm not.
You're still sticking to that.
I would not get this. I'll put a link in the show notes for everyone to see what this laptop looks like. There's a great video and some pictures that I'm looking at right now. But yeah, it looks like a fucking joke, frankly.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I wasn't so keen on was the hinge looks very like bling.
The hinge looks bling. It looks very breakable. I mean, for those who are looking at pictures or watching a video, it basically is a MacBook, but with a really terrible gold hinge and gold edging to the buttons, gold edging to the device, gold edge, literally a gold edge, a gold back where the USB ports are. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing one in real life, definitely, but I would not be buying one. Imagine banging this out like you got some work to do on the train. I'll get my Spectre 13 out. I mean, yeah, it's super light. I mean, the big thing this has over Apple's sort of MacBook is it's got actual decent chips. It's got Core i5s and Core i7s. It hasn't got the M chips. The MacBook, the existing MacBook One has.
The display's only a 1080p display, which is not Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you, the MacBook Air is, not... the space is good on that either.
There's also the base models. Yeah, it's 13.3 inch, 1080p display, 8 gig of RAM, and a 256 storage. I guess at least in the base model.
Mm-hmm.
Then reportedly 9.5 hours battery life, which is decent. Apparently, the MacBook Air does 12, but it is what it is. I mean, yeah, it looks good. I mean, sorry, it doesn't look good. It looks shit. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, what I was going to say, the specs look good. The specs do look good, but this isn't something I could have in public.
But yeah, I know, and this is coming from the man with the gold iPhone again.
Had a gold. This is. I've gone black now. It's quite boring. It is boring. I'll be honest.
So you like the thrill of the gold iPhone?
It felt different. I wouldn't go rose gold. I'm not.
You're not. Okay.
I'm not. No. But I wouldn't. But gold iPhone. Look. Okay. I'm saying this on the record now. Gold iPhone, brown leather case, looks the bomb. Right?
Can I just ask you a question about this? I mean, did people used to look at you when you got it out? Did people have a look at it?
They probably thought that man, his style was fresh.
Really?
I think they thought that. No, I didn't get one negative comment about it. The only negative comment I got was from you and Dave. The only people taking a piss out of my gold phone. You know what? I've had like black iPhones for years. I thought, I'll try the white one. The silver one looked a bit naff, and I thought, I'll go gold. Also, on launch day, I think when I went to pre-order it, they're like, "Oh, we've only got a couple of golds left," and you know me, James. I want the things that no one else has. So I said, "Yeah, I'm going fucking gold. I'm going gold all the way."
Is that because there was lots left because nobody else wanted them?
There was very few left, and I thought I'm going to grab one of them. Why not? Yeah, I was comfortable with it, and I might get another one.
Really?
I mean, maybe I got.
But you wouldn't push to the rose gold though, yeah?
I don't know. It looks nice. It looks all right. So we're going to talk about some Windows laptop here. Yeah. So the Spectre, it looks bad, but some people will want it.
But I mean, okay. So the other thing that also looks pretty bad is the new HP logo.
I mean, maybe all my feelings are sort of mixed up because the logo is so bad.
See, the thing with that logo though, is that just for this machine, or is this actually for the whole of HP now? Because if it is, that's really kind of sad.
I assume it's for all of HP, but I don't know. I mean, it's a new brand. I'm reading here, and links to this again will be in the show notes. But yeah, the new HP logo. How would you describe it, James?
I describe it as a mess of just. Well, it's not even a mess. It's just lines. Which I mean,
it's just vertical lines. So if you were writing H and P but using only vertical lines, that's basically what the logo looks like.
I mean, it couldn't look any less sort of boring, I guess, really. It's not really very...
It looks really 90s, like 90s sort of car manufacturer. It just looks terrible. It looks bad.
I mean, I really don't like... It's just the sort of hard edges on it. It just looks... I don't know, it just doesn't look so nice.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a shame because it doesn't look like it really suits the brand at all. HP doesn't. When I look at this new logo, I do not think HP.
What do you think when you think HP though? Because I think printers.
Yeah, exactly. I think safe, boring, traditional sort of typefaces. I don't think 4 lines at varying heights, and that's supposed to spell HP. Yeah, not a huge fan. HP, go back to the drawing board. That's a message to HP. I know you're listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the other big thing that happened this week was you actually went and you tried the HTC Vive.
I did.
So I have got a couple of questions about this. First of all, I mean, these events, are they happening all over the UK, do you know? Like, are they?
Well, so it was a demo setup at PC World. There are 3 around the UK. There's one in Leeds, which is where I live, and there's 2 down south. There's one on Tottenham Court Road in London and one in Reading. I don't know. I don't think they've actually announced how long these demo units are going to be available for, but yeah, I went to the one in Leeds. I actually went a few weeks ago, but the queue was massive and the demos are like 10, 15 minutes long each. And I couldn't wait an hour and a half on a Saturday. My wife and kids kicking off in the car. So had to go back and not try it. But I went on the weekend and it was pissing down, so there was no queue and it was all good. Yeah, so I tried it. I'm really happy to say I've tried the Vive. It's awesome, frankly. A bit of background. So I've tried Oculus before. I haven't tried a consumer version, but I've tried DK1 and DK2. I haven't tried Gear VR, and I've tried Google Cardboard, and this is my first time using HTC Vive.
Okay, so how long could you stay in for? What's the length of time?
Well, so when I got there was literally no queue, and basically I went through the demos, and I was basically stayed on the last demo, which I'll talk about in a minute, a bit longer. I think I basically had about 20 minutes, but then I heard someone else come in, so basically my demo was stopped short. But I think generally you're on for about 10 to 15 minutes or so. I think I was on for about 20. Yeah.
Does it feel, I mean, how comfortable does it feel to be in for that amount of time, do you think?
It was super comfortable. So I guess I might as well start from the beginning. So so when I got there, he showed me the controllers. The controllers feel great, actually. There's really nice weight to them. I'm not sure if you're aware of how they look, but they're basically they've got a trigger, which you can squeeze, obviously, but you're basically holding essentially like a Wiimote style remote. But on top of the wands, as it were, there's like this circle, and those are basically that bit on top has sensors that talk to the camera setup, which is called Lighthouse. And in this demo room, there was 2 Lighthouse cameras at either end of the room, and those are basically talking, or those are basically interacting with the controllers. The headset was great. It was quite big, quite bulky, but having it on my head, it felt fine. And the other thing that this is quite different to Oculus is I actually managed to wear this with my glasses. So Oculus, the 2 times I wore it, I took my glasses off both times. This, I had my glasses on. I was only on for 20 minutes, but I couldn't. There wasn't like any extra weight. I couldn't feel. It didn't feel weird or bad that my glasses were inside it. I have heard reports of people wearing it with glasses and getting a bit of like discomfort, on the bridge of the nose. But for me, it was fine. And my glasses are quite big, actually, so it wasn't like I've got tiny glasses. Wore glasses with it, and it's absolutely fine. It's really good. I mean, it doesn't, unlike the consumer version of Rift, it doesn't come with headphones built in. So I had the headset put on, and then it has some large headphones put on over the headset.
So you really feel like you're sort of like packaged in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The good thing, I mean, in this demo, so I put the headset on, put my headset on, put the headphones on, and then the guy running the demo could actually talk to me through the headphones. Which is really handy, of course.
So how do the controllers work? So these are like, obviously they're not like Xbox 360 kind of controllers, as in like, no. They're sort of, they're motion controlled, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, these are, honestly, I'm not sure if they got accelerometers in them, but basically they are tracked by the Lighthouse camera system. So when I put the headset on, and put the headphones on, the guy turned the demo on, and in front of me, I saw two of these controllers, through 2 digital versions of these controllers in this space I was looking at, and this is when the coolest thing happened. So the guy was in front of me, and basically I saw these 2 digital versions of the controllers, and I reached out and grabbed them, and I just grabbed them there and then. Like I knew exactly where they were in 3D space, and my hands went on them straight away, which is a very different to previous Oculus demos I've tried, whereby I've sat down, a person said, I'm tapping on the right shoulder, and then they hand me an Xbox pad, and I'm sort of fumbling to try and find the pad, as if like trying to do something with your eyes closed. Whereas this, I had the headset on. I couldn't see anything else, but basically within the headset, I could see these digital versions of the controllers, and I grabbed for them, and they were exactly where I expected them to be. So
it really felt a great deal more sort of natural, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, straight away, and I wasn't like, I wasn't really thinking about it. I just saw the digital versions of these things, grabbed them, and that's exactly where the guy was handing them to me. So that straight away was really, really, really fantastic moment. Once I grabbed them, and the guy told me to walk forward. I was told to walk forward towards the wall, and basically that's when the chaperone system kicked in. Chaperone system is a thing that basically you create when you set up your room. Because this is obviously room scale VR, and the chaperone system is basically what happens when you start walking towards a surface. When you get into a certain distance of a wall or chair or whatever you got in your room, a green grid will appear, which basically signifies that you're reaching the edge of your play space, and that if you go any further, you're going to start walking into your TV or whatever. But even that was really cool doing that. I was like, during the demos, I was constantly walking, left and forward and back, left and right, to go towards the chaperone system. It just felt interesting to go and see this grid, and I mean, even the chaperone system is really cool. It's the fact that obviously it's not letting you walk into walls and whatnot, but it's just a really nice way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you actually do inside though? Like, what is it, like games, or what do you actually do?
Yeah. So in the demos I was in, I presume it's the same for everyone. I played 3 demos. The first of which was Job Simulator, which is a really, really interesting game. So Job Simulator is basically it's a series of different jobs. I think one's a surgeon, one's like you work in maybe I think it's like a pizza place, whatever. But the demo I was in, I was basically working in an office. So I'm there, I'm stood with my 2 controllers, and I'm suddenly instantly into this like 3D environment, which is an office. It's like an office in the future. There's like robots like floating past and whatnot, and basically everything on this desk in front of me and my sort of cubicle in this game is I can interact with, and I interact by moving my hands holding these controllers over objects. There's like a photocopier, so I can move like my left or right hand over to the photocopier. There's a handle, and when that handle goes blue, I squeeze on the trigger of my pad, and I can I basically squeeze the trigger, hold down on the trigger, move my arm up, and that will lift up the top of the photocopier. This sort of like whiteboard went next to my cubicle with basically essentially it's like describing what you should do in the game, and one of which was make a coffee. So I turned around to my right hand side, saw a coffee machine there. I saw a mug, and I reached out with my right hand, squeezed the trigger to pick up the mug, dropped the mug next to the coffee machine, then pointed my finger towards the button on the coffee machine, and coffee started pouring into it. Mm-hmm. I grabbed the mug, poured, held it to my mouth and the coffee was coming out, and as if I was drinking it. It felt so natural straight away. It was crazy because this Job Simulator, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a totally cartoony environment. It's not a realistic office. It's a cartoony. It's basically a cartoony environment. Mm-hmm. But it felt real. The level of presence immediately was fantastic. Straight away I felt like I was in the office. It was amazing. So I could walk around my little cubicle area. I could there was like a box of donuts. So I was lifting up the top of the donut. I was eating it, and I was lobbing the donut across the room. I was making another coffee and lobbing that across the cubicle area. But my cubicles basically I had 3 walls. There's a computer one side, a photocopy another, and a coffee machine to the left of me. But I could walk out of the cubicle and walk and look down the hall, and I was really I wanted to keep walking, but obviously the chaperone system, it started appearing then, and then I got another mission. And then my mission was basically to talk around the watering hole, and there's a little water machine next to me, and other robots, other sort of floating robots. I can't think of another way to describe them. Came along to me, and I had to pick up basically a glass of water and press a button on the water machine. But this all felt so realistic to the point actually when I had been chucking donuts all over the place, because it just feels great to pick up one of the things in the environment and throw it. And I noticed some donuts on the floor, and to my embarrassment, I actually attempted to kick it away. Obviously my feet weren't being tracked by VR, but I saw a donut on the floor and tried to kick it away. So that basically shows you how immersed I was. Mm-hmm. The fact that I tried to kick a donut away on the floor that didn't really exist. But yeah. I mean, Job Simulator, it looks really fun. It was a great sort of first demo. I think it's really fun. It's silly, but straight away you can tell that that these controllers make a huge difference. And that and the fact is room scale. It just, you're not just sitting down with like an Xbox pad or any other pad, and looking around like a cockpit, which I've done in previous Oculus demos, or playing basically essentially a 3D game with an Xbox pad, but you're standing in one place. Room scale VR just seems to change everything. It felt so good.
Yeah, you see, how okay, visually though, compared with the Oculus, how do you feel it compares?
I mean, it's a bit hard to compare, but I was actually on the Vive Pre, which is the Vive dev version. I think there's not a huge amount of difference between this and the actual consumer version, but when the DK2 and DK1 demos on Oculus I've tried, it was very clear that those are much older tech than the Vive Pre. So yeah, Vive Pre, I didn't really see any screen door effect, which is where you can see the individual pixels. I looked and I could see like a little things here and there, but you basically, after the first like 30 seconds, I basically didn't notice them because I was too sort of immersed in the experience really. But whereas the Oculus demos, DK1 and DK2 demos I've had in the past, you can see the pixels. It's basically looking through like a mesh, like a net mesh. It's very obvious that there was like lines everywhere. Again, that could have just been the quality of the demos. I tried Oculus like 2 years ago or so. So it was, I think it was 2 years ago at EGX. So the tech's obviously come on, way further. So it feels a bit unfair to compare, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, you see, this does make it sound more. You see, I've never experienced VR. Like I've never done it yet, and I know that you're very excited about it. But
I'm super psyched. Yeah.
But I mean, do you think it's there yet? I mean, can you see this being massive? Or
I mean, when I tried, this Vive demo, and I'll talk about the two other demos I played in a minute. But this felt like proper VR, whereas the stuff I've done before on Oculus felt like I mean, again, I was on Oculus DK1, DK2, old tech. I haven't used the new Oculus touch controllers, and the two Oculus experiences I had before were basically, one was standing up playing essentially an Xbox game, but I could look around the place. The other one was sat down, and I was in a cockpit of a World War II fighter jet, and again, I couldn't do much. I was just looking around the place, and it felt cool all the time. But this feels like a totally different experience. Like I left and I was absolutely buzzing for all weekend really. Even thinking about it now, it's just I want to go back. I'm tempted to go back to PC World and just have another go because it was amazing.
But okay, but the thing is, right? This is because this is more like a full like room immersion.
Yeah,
thing,
this is
right?
room scale VR. Yeah.
But does this not mean that maybe this is going to be better for, like, for example, for like arcades than it would actually be for home use?
I don't know. I mean, so I've read a lot about this, but actually, this is, for good or for bad, this isn't massively different from the whole Kinect thing, where Kinect came out, people said I haven't got enough room. People were rearranging their living rooms, people were moving coffee tables, to set up Kinect for the evening or whatever. I feel like it's going to be exactly the same. And actually, in the space I was walking around, it was quite a big room, but actually the space I was walking around, I don't actually think it was that massive. Like I haven't got a huge lounge, but I think my lounge could easily accommodate room scale VR. Obviously, you if you want to, you could create like a massive area, and it'd be amazing for VR. But I don't think you'll have a really poor experience by just doing it in your lounge if you've got an average sized lounge. Mm-hmm. I think it actually be fine. And I was actually really surprised and impressed by that, because again, I've heard loads about the fact that Vive can have like a 15 feet by 15 feet square area to really make the most of it. And I thought, well, I'm never going to have VR. It's just, I'm not going to have that amount of space. But after trying it on the weekend, I think I probably could have it in my room, in my house, yeah.
But what amount of time do you think you could play, like, in that way, like standing up?
I don't know. I mean, again, so obviously the embargo dropped for Vive on Monday this week. So all the reviews are out there, and yeah, from a lot of people say, after about an hour or so you do get tired, because again, this is room scale, so you're up on your feet, you are walking around. Yeah, it could be quite intense. So I think it's going to tire you out more than just sitting down, and playing regular games, but. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say without trying it for a decent length of time. But after 20 minutes, I certainly wasn't thinking, "Oh, I probably need to get this heavy headset off my head." I wasn't thinking that at all. So, the second demo was a game called Space Pirate Trainer. Lame name, but it is what it is. So, Space Pirate Trainer was I was on this deck of a ship in space. Yeah. And I could see huge ships going over my head. I could see all sort of docking areas. But the important thing is basically my two controllers were now two guns. So I was holding the two controllers in real life, but they were, there were guns in the game. I could change the sort of rate of fire by touching touchpad on top of the controller. I could turn it from like single fire to fully automatic gun. Really cool things are that I could, if I put one of the controllers behind my head and then bring it out again, I'd then have a huge shield. And essentially the game Space Pirate Trainer was, I was in this space. I could walk around slightly, but essentially it was waves of enemies. It was these balls that were like appearing in the distance, and they were basically shooting at me. And then I basically had to shoot all those enemies, and then there'd be like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, etc. And as waves went on, there were more enemies. They were moving around me. I had to like spin around 360. I had to use my shield more, but it felt brilliant. I probably looked like a total idiot doing it because, I was using primarily my right hand to do shooting. I had like my left hand behind my back and then in front of me to hold out the shield. But that stuff felt really real because I had like the shield, which was, it's basically a shield in my left hand. I don't know how to describe it any more than that, but it's basically a semi-transparent bit of plastic or glass, so you could see sort of shapes and colours behind it, so you could see enemies behind it. But essentially I had like that in my left hand and my gun in my right hand, but I could position it so that my right hand and my gun was actually sort of coming around the front of my shield, and the shield definitely felt like a physical thing in front of me. But yeah, I could have a shield, or I could just like put my arm behind my back and out front again, and then the shield would have gone, and I'll have my gun again. So I have I could fire with both guns. If I had like enemies shooting to left and right of me, I could put again my arms behind me. I've suddenly got the two shields back to defend myself. It was a really simple game. It's just basically enemies pop up, you got to shoot them, or you get killed. But again, it felt really, really immersive, and I was, in between rounds, or if I just died, I was like looking around the area, like looking behind me. It felt amazing to be stood on this dock of this spaceship floating through space, seeing huge cargo ships going over my head, and yeah, even that felt amazing. It felt so immersive.
So this is what is making me feel jealous, to be honest, because I'd love to experience something like that.
I mean, if you're in the area up here, or if you have a chance to go down there to go to London, I would absolutely implore anyone with a chance to go and give it a go. It was amazing. I mean, I've been psyched about VR for a long time. When I tried Oculus, my first demo, within like 5 seconds, I started feeling sick. And I thought, oh my God, is this it? Am I like excited for this new technology? And actually, like, it's a massive joke. And like, is this the EGX? And Dave Turner, our mate, was basically laughing at me. And he still mocks me now, the fact that I was so psyched for VR for so long. I tried it, and it was like a simple demo, and I felt sick straight away. Which was gutting, frankly. And I've actually tried it since at work. We had an Oculus DK2, and I felt sick there because, from what I've read and certainly my own experiences, it feels like if you have a game or experience that basically is coded poorly or doesn't take doesn't take things like inertia into effect, it will make you sick. Whereas this, I was a bit worried before, but I was like, please let this Vive experience be good. I'm not feeling sick. But yeah, it's 20 minutes. I was running around, looking in front of me, behind me, doing all sorts of stuff and contortions. I didn't feel sick in the slightest. I felt fine. So yeah, I was super happy about that.
That was one of the things I was been listening about, where people have been saying that like if you think about things like first person shooters, they're not really going to be suitable for this initially, because of the speed, that is involved in a lot of games that we play. If you did that really in like virtual reality, it would be a real assault on the senses, and it would probably make you feel quite unwell.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to be another thing that excites me so much about VR. It's going to take so many things to actually work out what works and what doesn't work. I mean, I think it was last year someone worked out that by placing a nose in sort of in the same sort of area that you would potentially you would see your nose, that actually stopped loads of people in demos. I mean, they they put a 3D model of a nose in around the just below the eye line, and that actually stopped a lot of people feeling sick, which is a crazy thing to think about, really. Also, apparently, but by having even a small crosshair, a small dot in the middle of the screen, that's also something. That's also something that can stop people feeling sick. But I was happy to say that running around in Vive didn't make me sick. The last demo, and I'll be quick, but last demo was Google Tilt Brush, which is an art package. You could there's like on my left controller there's like a big 3D menu, and I could use the touchpad on the controller to essentially spin this oblong menu around, and that had like different brushes, different types of effects like fire or paint or pencil, different colors and whatnot. It was really fantastic. So I was essentially with my left hand, that was almost like that was all the brushes. With my right hand, I was actually doing the painting. So I was selecting like a light beam brush, and I'd hold down the trigger with my right hand and spin around, and it was really gorgeous, bright lights. And I've seen demos of people, basically doing 3D paintings. The amazing thing about this, obviously, is you can walk in and amongst your painting. I was like writing my name and like walking through it, and like doing like huge circular designs and walking through that. It felt really good. It was probably the demo out of the three that it didn't excite me the most, because it was an art package. I think if you're really into that, I think it'd be a totally new experience and totally new way of creating art if that's something you're into. But it's not really something I'm into as much as the other two demos. But actually, one interesting thing from that demo is you can change the environment you're in. So I think the first one was just basically, I don't know, it was basically just a black environment. So it was just black everywhere, but I could like paint wherever I want. And I found this environments panel on my left controller. And when I turned it to space, and suddenly I like my stomach almost went, because suddenly I was like floating in the middle of space. And I was like, I was taken aback. It was like, oh shit, it just felt suddenly really jarring. You can also change the environment to like a snow, suddenly you get like a snow environment, and there's like a snowman in front of you, so you can paint a snowman. You could create there's another environment where there's a pedestal in front of you, and you could basically sculpt on that. Or there was a mannequin that you could I guess decorate, maybe if you're designing some clothing and whatnot, maybe. But Google Tilt Brush looks interesting. It wouldn't be something I would spend a lot of time in, but I think for a certain type of user, I think they'll absolutely love it.
So it'd be a bit like if you were buying a Super NES and you got it with like Mario Paint. It's probably not the one that you'd really want. Wanted the Street Fighter pack.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to go back and try the other two demos again. So but it's really fantastic. And actually, I heard someone else come into the demo room, and then the guy's like, "Okay, we have to cut it short now because not cut it short, but actually I had to stop because someone else was actually willing to queue up and play." And the guy who's queuing up said that morning he had cancelled his Oculus consumer version order to get a Vive, because he had tried Vive the previous week in this demo and said it was so much better. Then I mean, this guy hadn't even tried the consumer version of Vive, obviously, but of Rift. But I mean, the difference between Vive and Rift is that right now Vive is the most complete and is the best VR experience because it's got these controllers, and the controllers totally change it. Whereas Oculus doesn't have that. Also, Rift doesn't have that yet until they announce properly and unveil and sell their touch controllers, which people are expecting to happen in the autumn time. Mm-hmm. But right now, Oculus Rift is just a headset, and obviously it comes with an Xbox One controller, but it doesn't come with these controllers, which I think the Vive are the main difference. Yeah,
because I mean, the Vive, from what you've said, does sound far more interesting. Because to be honest, I mean, even if like Oculus experiences are going to be like using like Xbox One controller and stuff like that, do I really want to sit there and just so I can get a 360 view? But then what else am I getting from that? It's, apart from this, the more tactile like sense of the Vive sounds much more interesting.
Yeah, I know Oculus. Technically, it can do room scale VR, and it does have that camera, so it knows where you are. But I think actually Oculus again delve much more deeply into that when they do sell their touch controllers, because right now for Vive it's the combination of the controllers they've got and also the Lighthouse system that scans the room and knows exactly what's where, and you can walk about on it, and that's what makes it that totally changes it for me. Like my previous Oculus experiences were me sitting down or stood up, essentially playing a game, but I could look around, which was really cool at the time. But this was a totally new experience. I mean, I was walking around, I felt presence, I felt part of this cartoony office environment. I felt like I was really part of this spaceship, and I was just stood on the loading bay of this spaceship. It felt real. It felt amazing, and I was desperately trying to work out how I can afford a PC and a Vive, on the drive home. I want to go back. I probably will go back, in all honesty. I don't know about this weekend, but I need to try it again because it's just amazing.
Wow, it does sound like it's had like a massive impact. Yeah, that sounds cool.
I felt like I knew VR before, but trying this, this feels like proper VR.
Mm.
Yeah, but having said that, again, like I said before, I haven't tried the consumer version of Rift. I haven't tried the Rift's touch controllers, and I'm sure when the Rift touch controllers are available, it's going to be a much more even playing field. I like to see what the difference is between Vive's room scale VR and Oculus Rift's room scale VR. But for now, if you can afford either, I would absolutely go for the Vive.
Well, I can afford neither, so it's
go for the Vive.
So it's okay. Okay, I think the last thing that I wanted to talk about just before we wrap up is the today the Star Wars Rogue One trailer dropped.
Yes, well, I like the fact they called it a teaser trailer. It was like a 2-minute trailer. I mean, that to me is not a teaser, and actually that for me, I don't think I'm going to watch anymore. I did this with the most recent Star Wars film. I watched the first trailer and didn't watch any others, and I think I was better off for that. So I'm going to try and hold off after watching this, because today's trailer I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, okay. In general, I really like the trailer. The only thing that I feel, you know me, I have to look at something negative with this.
Of course.
The only thing that concern me a bit about it is that it didn't, because this is set like in the original trilogy time period, isn't it? Because it's it didn't really feel like that. Like, to me, is the only thing. It felt a lot more like like the most recent film, if you sort of mean.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely did to me actually as well. So how earlier in the is this supposed to be compared to the new film?
Well, I mean,
Force Awakens, because Force Awakens is it 30 or 40 years after Jedi?
I don't think it's that supposed to be. I think it's no, because this film is set. It's to do with getting the Death Star plans, but then I don't know if that's original Death Star or the rebuild. For Jedi, it's not. I'm not entirely sure which one of those it is. But either one, then that means that that makes more sense.
But I think trailer wise, I think it looked brilliant. So the screenplay is written by Gary Whitta as well, who did, he did Book of Eli amongst other things. So it looks brilliant. So it's out in December, isn't it? It is,
yes, it is December. Yeah, which is, wow. But yeah, it looks exactly what I think many people would want from a Star Wars film. In the sense of a more sort of grown up audience, if you sort of mean. Yeah. But I know it just didn't feel like it entirely fit with the time period that they were talking about. No, but that's just me being stupid.
But I mean, for me, I'm not. I don't know Star Wars. I don't know all the world. Don't know all the lore. Don't know all different types of outfits and whatnot. I couldn't place a time period based off the style of Stormtrooper, for instance. But I think for me, it's always going to feel. It's going to be hard to feel like it's in a previous time period, because it looks like a shot in a very similar way to the new Star Wars film, which feels really modern, really fresh, really new. So for me, I think it'd be hard. I don't know. I mean, it felt like a brand new modern take on Star Wars, and it didn't feel like it was in a previous period.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm just being overly sensitive with that. You know, it just didn't.
Probably. I mean, almost certainly.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. But to be honest, it did look very cool. It's especially towards the end. You know that part at the end where she's standing there and she's got you notice like she's wearing like what she's wearing. She's got like the Empire symbol on her shoulder. You're like thinking, what's that about? You know, has she betrayed them, or what's the
I can't remember what the voiceover says, but it's saying that you need to fight, and then essentially implying that if you fight too much, then the darkness is going to take hold or whatever. But yeah, I need to watch that trailer again after this recording. But it looked brilliant, and the soundtrack was great. It was a really great teaser trailer, even if it went on for a bit too long. But it looks class. And it's out in December. It's not far.
Yeah, it's really not that far. Especially, because the other one's been put back though, hasn't it? Episode 8, which is a bit of a shame.
Who's directing this? Is it Gareth Edwards, who did Monsters and Godzilla, or is that a different one? I'm not really sure who's directing this one.
I actually have no idea. I don't know. I know that they had trouble with the director, as in there may have been some changes or something, but I don't know.
I'm just gonna quickly check. Yeah, it is Gareth Edwards. Okay, yeah. So he did. Have you seen Monsters?
No.
Oh, Monsters is a fantastic film. It's basically an alien film, but essentially the aliens are a very small part of it. It's more of like a travel movie, more of a buddy movie. It's really fantastic. I'd recommend watching that. He also did Godzilla, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but it is what it is.
Okay, so I think that's probably about all we've got time for this week, and we have gone through an awful lot of stuff here, much more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be quite a week.
Yeah, it's build, isn't it? It's Microsoft.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it was the build episode. It was always going to be a big one.
So yeah, endless presents from Microsoft. It's that kind of thing. So thank you for listening. But so Matt, where can we hear from us?
Okay, we are now on iTunes, so search Interface and you'll find us there. Please subscribe and leave a review. We really appreciate that. We've got a website, which is interfacepodcast.squarespace.com. On the website, you'll find more information about the show, how you get in contact with us, as well as show notes and whatnot. We're on Twitter. We're at InterfacePod on Twitter. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/interfacepod. New episodes go up on SoundCloud, and also YouTube. SoundCloud, we are soundcloud.com/interfacepod. And on YouTube, you've got to search for Interface Podcast. And then if you're on desktop, you need to filter by channel, and then we're the third result there. But new episodes go up on SoundCloud and YouTube the day they go up on iTunes. Full show notes, including the links and the things we discussed in each episode, are on the website, and links to this episode are at interfacepodcast.squarespace.com/episodes/2.
Okay, so thanks for that, Matt, and thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.